Okay, I think we're up and running. Sorry everybody for the delay. YouTube was having some issues. Let me know if you can hear me. The video is going to be delayed for like 30 seconds to a minute, so it might take me a little bit longer than normal to reply to your guys' messages and stuff, and I'm going to actually make note of this in the comments real quickly before we get started here. Let a few more people join. Okay, I'm gonna share this on all the social media pages, and then we can get started with this program. Welcome everybody. Okay, almost done here, folks. Okay, just about done here, and looks like we got about 8 people in here right now. Okay, let's get into things here, folks. So let's start out with this forecast right now. Anybody that gets cut out or anything like that, I'll have this video uploaded after the stream, so you can always go back and rewatch this, and it'll be a lot smoother and a lot more professional. So right now we're looking at the infrared satellite imagery. Here is the Northeast Pacific Ocean. Currently, Hawaii's down here. The west coast of the United States is over here. Gulf of Alaska is up here. So we can see right now we're kind of in a break period. We had a little weak frontal system move through earlier this morning. That's kind of moved through the area. You can kind of see the remnants way off to the east of the Rocky Mountains. We got this next system that's going to be coming in late Wednesday into Thursday. It doesn't look like much on satellite right now, but it's going to merge. It's under this band of cloud right here, or above it, or kind of within it. And it's going to merge with this low pressure system that's kind of cut off, and it's all by itself between Hawaii and California. These two systems will merge and bring a storm system into the west coast later on Thursday. Models are kind of still in a bit of disagreement exactly where that storm is going to go and how strong it's going to be, but we're going to look at the models here in a moment and going over all the details. So for right now, let's get right into the weather models. Right now this is the afternoon European model. I actually haven't looked at it this morning, so I'm watching it for the first time with you guys right now. But right before we get into it, I'm gonna make sure that the sound and everything's working okay. This is my first live stream in a few weeks, so I just gotta make sure that everything's running okay for you guys. It's the video is going to be delayed by a couple minutes or so. Unfortunately, with my Wi-Fi, I still haven't gotten my internet upgraded. So until then, the live streams are going to be a little bit on the laggy side. But hopefully, it shouldn't be too much to where we can't interact at all. So now let's look at the European mall. We can play this out right now. This is about right now about 7 to 8, 10 p.m. This is right in the evening right now. You can see that low pressure system we saw all by itself way down here in the east central Pacific Ocean. You can see that we got a ridge of high pressure over the western U.S. right now. And so this ridge over the western U.S. is going to be moving away from us as this trough comes out of the north, out of the Gulf of Alaska, brings some colder air down from the northern Alaska. And this is going to merge with some subtropical moisture associated with that low pressure system that's down there. And you can look at the date and time right here on the left side of the image. I know it's a little small to see, and hopefully you guys might be able to see it. Unfortunately, I've not found a better way to look at the time than that, but we'll just have to work with that currently. Looking at as we go into Wednesday morning, you can notice that the storm systems have already kind of merged together, and we got kind of two separate areas of low pressure. We got the area on the north side and then the south side. It's this elongated trough of low pressure. There's all this cold air flowing out of the northwest, merging with that subtropical moisture from the south, and that's what's forming this storm system. It's going to be kind of elongated, so there's a part of the low that goes up towards northern Vancouver Island, and then another part of the low that kind of goes into Oregon. Washington is looking like it might be in between these two systems and not getting as much of the impacts. Basically, impacts are going to be ranging all the way from Central California all the way up the British Columbia, and I'll show you that here in a moment. Then the storm systems kind of dive away as we go towards the weekend. We get a break on Saturday, and it looks like a frontal system will be quick to return as we go into Sunday, bringing more stormy conditions. So now looking at the European mall. Oh, hey, Matthew from Western Washington Weather. So now I know the screen doesn't show both of these very correctly, but this is the European mall on the left and the GFS on the right. It's the way they'll look at the two different malls at the same time. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit perfectly into the screen. So looking at this, we can kind of look at the disagreement. This is looking at sea level pressure anomaly. That's basically showing the pressure from normal. So blue is lower than normal pressure, and the oranges are higher than normal pressure. So you can see as we go into Wednesday morning, you see the two storm systems are kind of merging over the off the west coast, and you can see the southern one on the European mall. Pretty good agreement in the malls now, at least in the early stages. However, the European mall has this southern low kind of taken over and kind of killing off that northern low. And it brings this pretty tight storm system into a northwest California, southwest Oregon, with some isolated, strong to damaging winds with a scenario like that. However, the GFS kind of keeps the southern low moving a little farther north, and it kind of merges the two, and it kind of stalls them right off the Oregon-Washington coastline. This would kind of keep impacts off the coast mostly for most locations. The lows would combine, kind of die off, and just slowly meander and kind of just lose steam, basically just not really cause issues with anybody. And then you can see we got a bit of another low pressure system. It's kind of a messy situation. We got like multiple low pressure systems. The European mall has them staying a bit more consolidated, heading east, a big lee cyclone, basically a cyclone that forms on the lee side of the Rocky Mountains over there in Alberta. It has a pretty strong cyclone over there. The GFS has it, but it has it a lot more disoriented and discombobulated. And I'm tending to believe the European mall a bit more. The European mall tends to have a better track record, and it just tends to be more reliable. And then as we go through the weekend, most malls kind of start to agree that we get a bit of a break. The GFS keeps a little bit more low pressure over the area. However, another low or frontal system will move through on the day on Sunday. The GFS basically has nothing. And then the European mall has a moderate frontal system moving through. So again, I'm going to generally agree with the European mall. It's been kind of sticking to its gut a lot more, which tells me that it's kind of being more reliable. So I'm going to lean towards that. So let's look at the European mall and getting closer in on the West Coast. Here's Washington, Oregon, California, Southwest BC. And before I continue, I'm going to look at the comments. And see what you guys are talking about. I know that the time is a little delayed, so you guys won't be hearing me say this for a minute or two. Let me ask you guys in the chat. This is live. In the chat, I can actually talk with you guys in real time. My Wi-Fi is unfortunately not doing very well. So let's see how things are doing. All right, while I wait for your guys' responses, I'm going to continue with the forecast. So now we're looking at the 6-hour precipitation type inches. You can see blues are snow, greens are rain. And as we play this through, you can see we're really just dry all the way until maybe Wednesday morning. There's going to be a few showers over in maybe Northwest Oregon, Southwest Washington, South Central Washington, the Southern Cascades, maybe parts of the Spokane area as well, Northern Idaho. That shouldn't be much. There's going to be a few showers that move over other parts of Western Washington through the late morning and afternoon. Then some lighter widespread rain moves into Western Washington during the late afternoon and evening on Wednesday. Then you can see the low pressure system moving into California late afternoon, early evening down there. And so as this moves through, you can see that 987 millibar load that the European mall has. It brings it down over in the Southwest Oregon, Northwest California a bit, mostly leaving Washington just with some light precipitation, not much wind or anything. However, an earlier run from last night was actually showing a windstorm and brought the low all the way up over Oregon into Washington with a widespread windstorm for Portland and stuff. However, that doesn't look to be the case now, and we're starting to get within like the 3 to 4 day time range, and models don't typically change that much when we get into that time range. So it brings out a decent frontal system through California, some gusty winds to parts of the coastline and the Bay Area as well, maybe bringing even some precipitation all the way down to Los Angeles by Thursday. You can see some light scattered precipitation continuing on over Western Washington and Oregon, and then moving off into Eastern Washington by Thursday, looking at the time over here. And then by Friday morning, there's a bit more precipitation that comes in with this other little tiny weak low. The rain doesn't look to be very heavy. There's going to be some light to moderate snow in the mountains. So moving into Friday, that moves through. Mostly kind of a chill day for pretty much everybody. There might be some breezy winds on the coastline. I'll look at the wind gusts here in a second for you guys. Saturday looks like a mostly dry and calm day over the area. Maybe a few showers in some of the coastal ranges and the mountains. So as we go into Sunday, however, Sunday morning, you can see that we got that next low moving up in the Haida, and there's a front that starts moving out of the west towards the area on Sunday as well. And you can see that moves through probably Sunday morning, maybe maybe early Sunday afternoon. That will maybe bring some blustery winds and some rain through the area. So now let's look at the 10-meter wind gusts. You can see as we move through Tuesday, not really much wind anywhere because we're going to be under that ridge of high pressure. Then on Wednesday evening, you can see the wind starting to increase on along the California coastlines to some of the mountains down there. And so that's going to bring a frontal system through the Bay Area all the way down to Los Angeles, maybe by later Thursday. You can see that really tight low pressure system off the coast of Northwest